My wife cheated on me with her boss, stole $250, $0 from our joint account, and now she's claiming I'm the one abusing her. Can anyone explain how it went from a failed business deal to a custody and property war? I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, writing about how my wife, Lisa, turned out to be nothing like I thought she was. Honestly, I didn't even suspect anything at first. We'd been together for 7 years, married for 5. We had a nice life, decent jobs, a house in the suburbs, 2 dogs. I thought we were solid. But then little signs started popping up, small things that didn't add up. She'd be secretive about her phone, hiding texts, deleting messages. She'd come home late from business dinners more often than before, sometimes smelling like perfume that wasn't mine. I brushed it off, told myself she was stressed or busy, but deep down, I knew something was wrong. It all came crashing down one Thursday evening. I was working late at the office when I decided to check our joint bank account. Stupid, I know, but something told me to look. I wanted to see if the bills were paid, if there was anything unusual. What I saw made my stomach drop. Over the past 2 months, Lisa had transferred almost $250,000 out of our account into some offshore account. $250,000, just like that, gone. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I double-checked the transactions, then checked our joint credit card statements. There were receipts for hotels, restaurants, and, wait for it, expensive jewelry. All bought with money I didn't even know she had access to. My mind was racing. I knew Lisa had some secret side of her life, but I didn't think it was this big. I felt sick, betrayed, like I'd been hit with a freight train. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs. She'd been acting weird, yes, but I never thought she'd steal from us or cheat on me with her boss, Mark. That bastard was always flaunting his success, acting like he was better than everyone else. And Lisa. She was always so bitchy about her job, about her boss, saying he was just a mentor and nothing more. Yeah, right, I knew she was lying. Somehow I just knew. The worst part was the betrayal. I had trusted her more than anyone. We built this life together, and now it felt like everything was crumbling. I felt angry, hurt, confused. How could she do this? Why? All I wanted was to confront her, to get some answers, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions. Still, I couldn't ignore the evidence. I needed to see her, talk to her face to face. So I waited for her to come home that evening, my mind swirling with questions and rage. When she finally walked in, she looked tired but still managed a bitchy smirk. "Hey, babe," she said, tossing her purse on the table. "What's for dinner?" I clenched my fists. I couldn't hold it in any longer. I looked her straight in the eyes and asked, "Lisa, what the hell is going on? Who is Mark, and what's with all the money? Did you steal from us?" Her face flickered with surprise, then quickly turned defensive. She started talking, claiming she was under a lot of stress, that the money was a bonus, she was saving up for a surprise, and that I was just overreacting. She had the nerve to say I was paranoid, that I was accusing her without proof, but I had proof. I showed her the bank statements, the transfers, the receipts. Her eyes widened, then darkened with anger. She started yelling, calling me crazy, saying I was controlling and that I was just jealous of her success at work. She spun stories about Mark, claiming he was just a friend, that she was doing nothing wrong, and that I was paranoid and insecure. But I wasn't buying it. I could see right through her lies. She was trying to gaslight me, make me doubt myself. I felt a mix of rage and heartbreak. How could she do this? How could she betray me like this? The woman I loved, the woman I trusted, was out there sleeping with her boss and stealing from us. It was like my entire world was crashing down in that moment. I knew I had to get to the bottom of this, no matter what it took. After she finished her frantic denial, I just stood there, staring at her, feeling like I was in some bad dream I couldn't wake up from. My mind was racing, trying to process everything. The betrayal, the lies, the money. I couldn't believe she'd gone this far. I'd always thought she was ambitious, maybe a little bitchy sometimes, but I never imagined she'd actually steal from us, cheat on me with her boss, and then lie about it all with that smug look on her face. I remember feeling this deep, burning anger that I'd never experienced before. It wasn't just about the money or the affair. It was about the fact that the woman I married, the woman I trusted with everything, had lied to me, cheated on me, and stolen from us. I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. My stomach clenched, my fists clenched, and I could feel my jaw tightening. I wanted to scream at her, to shake her, to make her admit everything. But I also knew I had to stay calm, at least for now. I told her to sit down. She looked at me with that bitchy, defiant expression, but I wasn't about to let her run the show anymore. I pulled out my phone and started recording everything she said, her excuses, her lies, her pathetic justifications. I wanted proof, not just for myself but for what was coming next. I already knew I couldn't trust her anymore, but I needed something tangible. I needed to make her understand that I wasn't going to be played like a fool. She kept insisting she was innocent, that the money was for a big project she'd been working on, that Mark had nothing to do with it, and that I was just jealous of her success. She told me I was crazy, that I was controlling, and that I should just trust her. But I looked at her and all I saw was a woman who'd been caught red-handed. I saw the woman I thought I knew, and I realized I didn't know her at all. She was a stranger, hiding behind a mask of lies. I decided I needed to take a step back and think. I told her I'd be staying at a friend's place that night, that I needed space to process everything. She threw a tantrum, crying, yelling, saying I was overreacting, that I was breaking our family apart. But I didn't care. I knew I couldn't stay in the same house with her, not after what I'd just uncovered. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and furious. How could she do this to me, to us? I never thought I'd be the guy who'd find out his wife was sleeping with her boss and stealing our savings, but here I was. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying everything. The lies, the evidence, her voice as she tried to manipulate me. I felt like I was losing my mind. The next morning I decided I had to do something. I wasn't just going to sit around and let her walk all over me. I started planning my next move. I knew I couldn't confront her again without stiff evidence. I needed to get more proof, more details. I needed to know exactly how deep this betrayal went. I also started thinking about the money. That $250, $0 wasn't just some petty theft. It was a huge chunk of our life savings. What did she spend it on? Hotels, jewelry, who knows what else? I found some receipts on her phone, some strange charges that didn't match her usual spending. There was one for a luxury hotel downtown, on a night she said she was working late, another for a fancy restaurant she'd never mentioned. She was living a double life and I was just starting to see the cracks. I knew I had to act fast. I contacted my lawyer, started gathering financial records, and even hired a private investigator. I didn't want to be again. I wanted to know everything, and I wanted her to face the consequences. I felt like I was caught in some twisted game, but I was determined not to be the one who lost everything. Not this time. In the meantime, Lisa kept calling and texting, trying to deny everything, accusing me of breaking the family apart, claiming I was crazy and paranoid. She played the victim, as always, but I could see through her act. I knew her game now. I knew she was a liar, a thief, and a manipulator, and I wasn't going to let her get away with it, not without a fight. The next few days were a whirlwind. I spent every waking moment digging into her phone, her bank accounts, and her emails. I couldn't sleep much, not because I was tired, but because my mind kept racing. I felt like I was unraveling a lie so deep and tangled that I might never find my way out. Every new piece of evidence just confirmed what I already suspected. Lisa had been planning this for months, maybe longer. I found messages between her and Mark, flirty, suggestive texts that she tried to delete but failed. I saw photos she sent him from hotel rooms, candid shots of her in bed, and even some explicit messages. It was clear she'd been cheating on me for quite some time. The worst part, she told me she loved me, that she was loyal. She'd lied to my face every day. I also discovered the extent of her theft. The $250, $0 wasn't just spent frivolously. It had been carefully siphoned off over time. She'd used fake invoices, doctored receipts, even created a shell company under her boss's name to hide the money. She'd been planning this for months, maybe even years. All while I was working my ass off trying to build a future for us. I remember feeling a strange mix of heartbreak and rage. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind, so naive. I'd always thought she was ambitious, maybe a little bitchy, but I never thought she'd turn into a con artist. The betrayal cut deep. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut every time I saw her lying face to face, pretending to be innocent. She kept insisting she was just stressed, that she needed the money for her dreams, that Mark was just a mentor, that she loved me. I couldn't even listen anymore. Her words sounded hollow, rehearsed. By the third day, I had enough. I confronted her again, this time with all the evidence spread out on the table. I told her I knew everything, the affair, the theft, the lies. Her face turned pale, then red with rage. She started screaming, calling me crazy, possessive, and controlling. She told me I was ruining her reputation, that I was the one abusing her, that I was paranoid and abusive. I couldn't believe her audacity. She was a master at spinning the story, making herself the victim. I just looked at her and said, "You stole from me. You lied to my face. You slept with your boss and lied about everything. I don't know who you are anymore." That's when she started crying, fake tears streaming down her face, trying to manipulate me into feeling sorry for her. But I wasn't buying it. I knew her game now. She was trying to turn everyone against me, make me look like the bad guy. But I knew the truth. I decided I had to take control of the situation. I contacted a lawyer and told her I wanted a divorce. I also told her I was filing for full custody of the kids. She started screaming, saying I was trying to destroy her, that she was the victim here. But I knew better. I knew she'd been planning this for a long time, and I wasn't going to let her get away with it. That night, I moved out of the house. I couldn't stay there anymore, not with her lying and manipulating. I went to stay with a friend, Alex, who's been through his own mess. It was a relief to get out, but I felt hollow inside. I kept asking myself how I didn't see it earlier, how I missed the signs. I kept replaying all the moments I thought were normal, her late nights, her secretive phone calls, her strange expenses, and wondering how I was so blind. I also started thinking about the money. I knew I had to get a hold of her accounts and figure out exactly what she'd spent it on. I found out she'd been funneling some of it into offshore accounts, probably planning to disappear. She'd even bought herself a new luxury car, something I never knew she wanted. It hit me hard. She'd been living a double life, and I was just starting to see the full picture. Meanwhile, she kept calling, accusing me of ruining everything, claiming I was abusing her emotionally, and that I was jealous of her success. She played the victim again, trying to turn the tables, but I saw through her act. I knew she was just trying to save herself. I wasn't going to let her manipulate me again. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I had to prepare for what was coming next. I knew she'd try to fight me in court, claim I was abusive, and try to keep the kids away from me. I also knew I had to protect myself legally, financially, and emotionally. The betrayal had shattered my trust, but I wasn't going to let her destroy everything we built. I had to be smart, careful, and ready for whatever she threw at me. Honestly, I feel numb most days now. Part of me still hopes she'll come clean, admit everything, and maybe we can somehow fix this mess. But deep down, I know that's probably not going to happen. I just want to get through this, rebuild my life, and make sure she doesn't get away with destroying what little we had. It's been a long, painful ride, and I still don't know what the end looks like. But I do know one thing: trust is gone, and I'll never let someone betray me like this again. The days that followed felt like walking through a fog. I was doing everything I could to gather evidence, protect myself legally, and ensure I'd have a solid case if things went to court. I hired a lawyer, of course, and started documenting every interaction with Lisa, her calls, her texts, her accusations. It was surreal how quickly everything had spiraled out of control. One minute, we were planning a vacation, and the next I was planning how to get her out of our house and keep my kids safe. She kept trying to spin her story, claiming I was stalking her, that I was controlling, and that I was abusing her emotionally. She even went as far as to accuse me of hitting her, which, of course, was a blatant lie. I never laid a hand on her, and I made sure my lawyer knew that. But she's good at playing the victim, and she knew exactly how to twist things to her advantage. She's bitchy, manipulative, and completely self-centered. That's what makes this whole thing so infuriating. She's willing to do anything to save her own skin. Meanwhile, I found out more about her spending habits. She'd been draining our savings for months, funneling money into offshore accounts, buying herself luxury goods, and even paying off her credit cards with the stolen cash. It's like she was building a new life while pretending everything was fine. I even discovered some secret accounts she'd set up on the side, hidden under fake names. It made me realize just how deep her deception went. She wasn't just cheating, she was actively trying to disappear, to wipe out any trace of our life together. One of the most shocking moments was when I found out she'd been secretly seeing Mark, her boss, at a hotel downtown. I wasn't just suspicious anymore. I had proof. I found hotel receipts with her name on them, timestamps that matched her alibis, and even some photos she'd taken of herself in bed with him. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just a fling. She was living a double life. I felt sick thinking about how long she'd been lying to me, how many lies she'd told to keep this secret. I confronted her about it one evening. I told her I knew everything about Mark, the stolen money, the affair. Her face twisted into a mixture of anger and contempt. She started yelling, calling me crazy, possessive, and abusive. She claimed I was trying to ruin her career, that she was just trying to survive, and that I was jealous of Mark's success. I couldn't believe her audacity. She was trying to turn the tables, make me look like the bad guy, but I was done playing her game. I told her that I didn't want to hear her lies anymore, that I was filing for divorce and seeking full custody of the kids. She scoffed, saying I'd never get custody, that she'd make sure I lost everything, but I knew the truth. I had all the evidence I needed, her secret accounts, the hotel receipts, the texts, the financial transactions. I was prepared to fight for my rights and for my children's safety. That night, I moved into a hotel. I couldn't stay in the house with her anymore. The betrayal was too raw, too real. I felt like I was losing my mind. How did I not see this coming? How did I miss all the signs? I kept replaying everything, the late nights, the strange expenses, her secretive behavior, and questioning myself. Was I blind? Was I just too trusting? Or was she just that good at hiding her true self? I spent hours on the phone with my lawyer trying to figure out the best strategy. I knew she'd try to manipulate the court, claim I was an abuser, or spin some sob story to sway the judge. I had to be careful. I started documenting every interaction, every lie she told, every suspicious transaction. I knew I had to be prepared for a legal battle, and I was ready. Some nights I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of everything crashing down on me. The betrayal, the loss of trust, the financial ruin. I kept asking myself how I'd let it get this far, how I'd been so naive. But I also knew I had to focus on moving forward. I couldn't change what had happened, but I could control what came next. I had to protect my kids, my money, and myself from her manipulations. Through all of this, I realized how much I'd taken her for granted. I'd always believed in her, believed she was the ambitious, driven woman I married. But she turned out to be someone else entirely. A liar, a thief, a manipulator. It's a hard pill to swallow, but I've learned that sometimes people you love the most can hurt you the deepest. And you have to be willing to cut ties, even if it means starting over. I don't know what the future holds now, but I do know I'll never let anyone betray me like this again. Not without consequences. The legal process has been a nightmare, honestly. I never thought I'd find myself in a situation where I had to fight to keep my own children away from someone I once loved. Lisa's accusations of abuse, which she's been spouting nonstop, have made everything even more complicated. She's playing the victim, as always, trying to spin her lies into some kind of moral high ground. She claims I've been hitting her, that I'm controlling, that I've been emotionally abusive. It's all bullshit, but she's good at it. She's always been bitchy, manipulative, and she knows how to turn a situation around to make herself look innocent. I've got a mountain of evidence against her: texts, bank statements, hotel receipts, even recordings of her admitting to the affair on a voicemail she didn't realize I'd saved. But it's not just about proving her guilt anymore. It's about protecting my kids from her chaos. She's trying to manipulate the court, trying to turn the judge against me, claiming I'm violent or unstable. She's even hired her own lawyer, one that's known for aggressive tactics, and I can tell she's planning to drag this out as long as she can. Honestly, I'm exhausted. It's draining. To keep fighting, to keep my guard up every single day. I've had to change all my passwords, secure my finances, and even get a restraining order just to keep her away from me. She's been sending me angry texts, accusing me of kidnapping the kids or poisoning their minds. She's trying to paint herself as the victim, which is laughable. The truth is, she's the one who's been lying, stealing, and sleeping around. I can't believe I married someone like that. The worst part is the emotional toll. I keep waking up in the middle of the night, replaying everything, her betrayal, her lies, her cheating, feeling this deep sense of loss. I loved her once, I believed in us. And now I feel like I've lost everything. The house, the trust, the future I envisioned. It's hard to accept that the woman I thought I knew was just pretending all along. The betrayal runs so deep that sometimes I wonder if I'll ever get over it, but I have to, for my sanity, for my kids. Financially, I've been devastated. She drained our savings, and I'm still trying to recover from the shock of it all. I had to take out loans to cover legal fees, pay for a new place, and get my life back in order. She spent the money on luxury trips, jewelry, and who knows what else. I found out she'd been funneling some of it into fake accounts, trying to hide it from me. I've hired forensic accountants to trace every penny, and I plan to get every dollar back, if not from her, then through court. She's trying to spin her narrative, claiming I'm the abusive one, that I've been threatening her and the kids. It's all part of her game, trying to turn the court against me, make herself look like a victim and keep the kids away. But I've got witnesses, recordings, and proof of everything. I know she's lying, and I'm prepared to fight her in court all the way. I want full custody, and I want her to pay for what she's done. The thing I've realized through all this is how fragile trust is. I thought I knew my wife, thought we had a life built on honesty, but it was all a lie. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know I'll never let anyone do this to me again. I've learned that sometimes the people you love the most can turn into your worst enemies, and you have to be ready to fight for what's right, yourself, your kids, your sanity. I've got a long road ahead, but I'm determined to rebuild what's left of my life, even if it means starting from scratch. I guess the biggest lesson here is that no matter how perfect things seem, always keep an eye on the signs. Trust is earned, not given blindly. And when someone shows you who they really are, believe them. Because if you don't, you might end up losing everything. In the end, I managed to get full custody of the kids. Lisa's entire facade crumbled in court when I presented all the evidence, her lies, her secret accounts, her affair with Mark, and the stolen money. It was brutal, but I knew I had to fight for them. Seeing her try to manipulate the judge, claiming I was abusive, was almost laughable. I was the one who'd been betrayed and lied to for months. The court saw through her act, and I was awarded primary custody, with supervised visitation rights for her until she could prove she was stable enough to be around the kids. The financial mess took longer to sort out. I had to hire forensic accountants as I suspected she'd hidden more money. It took months, but I eventually recovered most of what she stole, though some of it was lost forever. Still, I filed for divorce, and the settlement was fair considering everything. She didn't get away with any of her manipulations. She lost everything she was trying to hide. Her reputation is shot, her career is probably over, and she's left to pick up the pieces of her own destruction. Living without her has been a brutal adjustment. The house feels empty without her bitchy comments and manipulative smirks. But honestly, I feel a sense of relief. I no longer have to wonder if she's lying, cheating, or stealing behind my back. I've learned a lot about trust, betrayal, and the importance of watching out for yourself. I've also learned that sometimes the person you love can turn into your biggest enemy, and you have to be ready to cut ties if you want to survive. The kids are doing okay. They're confused and hurt, but they're resilient. I've been honest with them about what happened age-appropriately, and I've promised to protect them from her lies. I want them to grow up knowing what real honesty and integrity look like, not the lies their mother fed them. It's been a tough road, but I'm committed to giving them the stability they deserve. Looking back, I wish I'd seen the signs earlier. I wish I'd been more cautious, more suspicious. But I also realize that people can hide their true selves well. Sometimes you're better off trusting your gut and paying attention to the small things, like secret bank accounts, late nights, and strange expenses. Because if you don't, you might end up losing everything, just like I almost did. If there's one thing I want anyone reading this to take away, it's this: don't ignore the red flags. Trust is fragile, and once broken, it's almost impossible to repair. Protect yourself, your family, and your future. Be vigilant. Be honest with yourself. Because in the end, the most important thing is your own integrity and peace of mind. I'm still healing, still rebuilding, but I know I'll be okay, and so will my kids. We've been through hell, but we're stronger now. And I'll never let someone betray me like that again.